I'm Ginny Just.
And I'm Beth Soboloff, and we're
Two Grannies on the Road.
Today's show has been brought to you in part through donations from Speedwell Tavern in Plymouth, Massachusetts, home of the best wings on the South Shore. We're in beautiful Kona, the Big Island.
Would you give her a hand? She was so lovely up there watching everything I did.
Kona Joe Coffee. We're interviewing Joe Alban, better known as Kona Joe. By the way, Joe, are you a baby boomer?
Baby boomer? I'm not sure. I'm
Were
definitely
you
not a
born
millennial.
after 1946?
Yes, I'm a baby boomer.
Yes! So, Two Grannies on the Road is all about interviewing baby boomers who have reinvented themselves. So I think you're kind of the definition of that. So tell us a little bit about your background. What did you do before this? And how did you get to become a coffee grower?
Before I did this, all I ever wanted to do was be a doctor. I went to school and medical school and trained to become an orthopedic surgeon, and I've been doing that for 30 years.
Wow. And where did you grow up?
I grew up in Long Beach, California.
Okay. So not that far relatively compared to us in Massachusetts. We're really far from here.
That's true, but it's still a big puddle jump from Long Beach all the way to Kona, Hawaii.
So how did you happen to start growing coffee?
I was doing my surgical training in Chicago, just finishing, and it was freezing cold when I saw a job available in Hawaii on a cruise ship. For 2 weeks I could be a substitute doctor. So I took that job, came to Kona, and tasted the Kona coffee for the first time in my life. And I thought, wow, I had no idea that coffee could taste so good. Well, I met a girl on that trip. She was from Hawaii, and then I just started fantasizing about coming back to Hawaii and growing a little bit of coffee for myself when I retired. Well, that's what I did. But what I didn't predict is that my wife would start selling it, and she was selling it faster than I could grow it. So I just kept planting more, and eventually it grew into a business.
That's awesome. So your girlfriend became your wife,
That's right.
and she's Hawaiian.
Yes.
And is she an artist?
And she's an artist, yeah. She does beautiful scenes of either underwater paintings or of tropical flowers from Hawaii.
Beautiful. So this is, you decided to live your dream. You made it happen.
I did. It really is a field of dreams. I just kept following my passion and trying to create the best cup of coffee I could ever make for myself and my friends. And then people started coming by and asking if they could take tours and visit and see the operation. So we turned it into an educational experience for the visitors.
Mm-hmm. How did you learn how to grow coffee?
Well, it wasn't easy because in the United States, Hawaii is the only place where coffee is commercially grown. So back on the mainland, there isn't much information about coffee growing. I got to know some of the local people here who were growing coffee, and I talked to them. I did some reading, and then I joined some coffee associations that have annual meetings and lectures. And then we began an internship program where we bring university students from Brazil and Colombia here to Hawaii. And these are kids who grew up on farms, but now they have college degrees. And we learn from them, and they learn from us. And it's been a very good experience over the past 20 years.
That's awesome. So how did this trellis growing come about? That's unique to you?
Yes, we are different from other coffee farms because we grow our coffee on wires. It's a trellis system, the same that's used for growing wine grapes.
Oh.
And my brother is a winemaker in California, and I was talking to him, and when I realized that coffee is a fruit, and wine grapes are a fruit, and many other fruits have been successfully trellised, like kiwis, peaches, apples, oranges. And the net effect is to open the tree so there's more sun exposure to the fruit, and it makes the fruit naturally sweeter. So I thought if it works for those other fruits, it might work for coffee. And that's why we decided to try it.
And how long ago was that?
That was about 1990 that we started growing with the trellis.
Wow. So how long does it take for you plant? I take it you plant a tree from a small little thing like everything else, or a seed.
We start with the seed, germinate the seed, then we produce a seedling tree in the greenhouse. At 6 months, that gets planted into the ground, and then when it's 3 years old, it produces its first crop.
3 years. That's a little bit of a wait.
It is. That's 3 years of work, expense, and no income.
And so how long will one tree produce?
The tree will produce one crop a year for about 100 years.
Oh, nice. How far apart do you have to plant them?
We plant our trees 6 feet apart,
Okay.
and the rows are about 8 feet wide.
Wow. How many acres do you have here?
Right here on this property, we have 20 acres, and then we buy coffee fruit from a neighboring 100 acres around us.
Okay.
And that's not trellis, but it's still 100% Kona coffee, and we call that our non-estate Kona Joe. So
Okay.
that's a little less expensive, not trellis, but still very beautiful, wonderful coffee.
Mm-hmm. And so there's various grades of roasting that we were talking about a little while ago. And you said dark roast can be, you can lose the flavor, the unique flavor if you roast it too long. So medium roast is pretty good.
Medium roast is going to be sweeter, a little bit brighter in the cup, but have some beautiful natural flavors, nuttiness, a little bit of woodiness, milk chocolate, and floral notes that are all unique to Kona and the Kona region. So unless the tree is grown in this area, it won't have those special traits.
Right, I'm all for the chocolate flavor. And it's really good. And you have some stuff with macadamia nut in it as well, too.
We do. We make a macadamia nut flavored coffee. We also, here at Kona Joe's, take macadamia nuts and roasted coffee beans, cover them with chocolate to make a confection that's really delicious. But don't put them in your coffee grinder. Those are for eating.
Okay. And so you roast your own coffee because you want to have control over that whole process and how the coffee eventually comes out, right?
That's right. You know, we're really one of the few companies that does everything from seed to cup. Where we grow the beans, we process them, we roast them, we grind them, package them, and then we let people know how to brew their coffee to get the very best cup.
Oh, tell me about that.
Well, that really depends on what method you're going to use to make your cup of coffee. So there are different grinds. The coffee can be ground into a very fine grind, a medium grind, or a coarse grind. If you're using a drip coffee maker, like most people do, then you want a medium grind coffee. It's all about extracting the oils from the ground coffee. That's where the flavor is and the caffeine. Now, if you're going to use a French press, which is a press pot, then you want a very coarse grind. Because if the coffee is ground too fine, it'll come through that screen and end up in your cup. Okay. And lastly, if you're going to make espresso using water under pressure to extract maximum oils, then you want a very fine grind so the water pressure and steam can get through the coffee grounds.
Gotcha, okay. So is it a lot better to buy the beans and grind them yourself? Does it give you a lot fresher cup?
Yes, that is true. And that's because coffee doesn't spoil, but over time it will lose its flavor and get flat. And so when you smell a bag of coffee, that aroma is the flavor. And as that aroma escapes, the coffee's losing its flavor. So whole bean coffee will retain those oils longer and the flavor longer. It's like comparing solid ice to crushed ice. Crushed ice has more exposed surface area, melts faster. Ground coffee is the same way. More exposed surface area loses its aroma and flavor faster.
Okay, so if you buy ground coffee, within what amount of time really is it best to use it?
Ground coffee, when the bag is sealed, it'll stay fresh for a couple of months.
Okay.
Once the bag is open and oxygen gets into the bag, then you really should drink it within 4 weeks.
Okay, sounds good. Drink a lot of coffee. And there was one other thing I wanted to ask you about the process. This is really just fascinating. Now, do you have a lot of problems with insects? Do you have to use pesticides to make sure that you preserve your crop and get a good bean?
We're very fortunate that Hawaii is so isolated that we have few pests. Most pests are repelled by caffeine, so it actually keeps pests away. But there is one bug that's here now called the coffee berry borer. It's a little bug, that can burrow its way into the coffee fruit and eat the seed while the fruit is still developing on the tree. So we use an organic fungus to get rid of that coffee berry borer. It's not a pesticide per se, and it is an organic product. We also use soap water to spray on the tree and the leaves, and that keeps ants and other typical bugs off the tree.
Oh, so basically you could say your coffee's organic then, right?
Yes.
Excellent. And you have a decaf. What is the process like for decaffeinating coffee?
Well, to decaffeinate coffee, we also use a natural process. And what we do is we take the green beans before roasting. We put them into a bath of water and carbonated air, so it's really carbonated water, into a pressure cooker. And then we boil that pressure cooker for 2 hours. And as the steam escapes from the pressure cooker, the pores of the coffee seed open up and the oils and caffeine are extracted. Then we have to dry those beans again, and then they're ready for roasting.
That's awesome. So I'm a decaf drinker because coffee, gets on my nerves. But,
You're staying very relaxed.
That's because I drink decaf. But I figured out once when I didn't have coffee by 9 or 10 in the morning, I would get the jitters. I said, ooh, that's coffee withdrawal. That's probably not good. So I switched to decaf. But I have been concerned about the chemical process that most places use for decaffeinating coffee. So
if you're a decaf drinker, that's important to know because some of the process use chemicals that can be harmful.
They're not great, really. But if you could be here and smell the coffee roasting and taste it, it just tastes fabulous. So I want to make all of you a big fan of Kona coffee, and especially Kona Joe's coffee, because it is absolutely fabulous.
One important thing I want to tell your followers
Yes.
is that most of the Kona coffee we find outside of Hawaii is called a Kona blend. And that really is deceiving. It's not a blend of Kona coffees. It's a small percentage of Kona blended with some foreign coffee. The purpose of Kona blend is not to make Kona coffee better. It's to lower the price and make it more affordable. But unfortunately, when you buy those Kona blends, Kona coffee is a very delicate, beautiful coffee, and its flavor is easily masked by other coffees from other origins. So you really cannot taste the Kona coffee in a Kona blend. You need to drink 100% Kona coffee, and that's what we make here.
So that price I saw of $3.99 a pound at Safeway was not 100% Kona coffee.
I can tell you, it definitely isn't, because it costs us at least $20 a pound to produce 100% Kona coffee. So when you see a price lower than that in the stores, be suspicious.
Okay, that's a great tip. Well, we're going to tour the facility here, so we'll be taking some more pictures, and I really appreciate the time you've taken today. You have a fascinating career and one to be jealous of, because Joe decided he had a dream and he went for it, and that's what we always tell people: think outside of the box, step outside your comfort zone, and live your dream. So Joe, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Beth. Under different origins, when you go from dark enough, eventually they all taste kind of the same. But you're a big coffee company.
Yeah.
And you want to have consistent flavor in the cup, you have to live the coffee dark.
Okay.
We don't have to do that because we are a very small farm and we want to get the taste of the new Kona flavor.
Right. Now, where does the cherry come from? Is there actual cherry wood around, or?
That's a good question. Actually, coffee is a fruit. And the fruit is called a cherry. And it looks like a big cherry. So we take those cherries and then we poke them to remove the pulp and the skin. And inside is the seed. And the seed is actually what the farmer, that's the coffee bean. That's the funny thing about coffee beans. They've been called beans for 500 years. But it's a complete misnomer. They're not beans, they're seeds. Beans grow on a pod. The coffee traders started calling them beans, and the name has stuck.
Okay, great.
Again, my first question: where coffee is originated? Which country they found the first coffee tree?
I'm gonna guess Colombia.
Not Colombia.
China.
Hawaii. Kona.
Not Kona. Not Hawaii.
Brazil.
Not Brazil. Even though we're the biggest producers in the world, is not from Brazil.
You have me stumped.
We are looking for a country in Africa. We're looking for Ethiopia. Ethiopia is the orange of coffee.
Okay.
Long time ago, when the shepherd was taking care of his sheep, he realized that some of the sheep are getting very agitated in the end of the day. He started following up that particular sheep, and he noticed that they were eating the coffee bush, the fruit and the leaves, and then they were getting all weird up because of the caffeine, and that's when they start getting the interest on the coffee tree. If I'm not wrong, it started as a stew, and then probably we are very good as a human being to forget pots on the oven for a long time and burn it. So probably someone forget the coffee cooking with the meat, it burned, and while it was burning it started to come all the pleasant smell, and that's why they start getting all the interest on roasting and doing all those processes for coffee.
Oh, okay.
Here we have a trellis tree, but if you would be looking for a natural coffee tree that has never been touched by a human being, you would be looking for a single vertical branch, a lot of horizontal ones, almost a pine tree shape, closed with leaves so you don't have that much sunlight reaching the inside of the coffee tree. So when you're looking for the trellis tree, you're still looking for a single tree coming out of the ground. We're going to be stretching the coffee tree, getting more vertical branches, more leaves in contact with the sunlight, so we'll be increasing the photosynthesis, more sugar, less bitter taste, bigger size of the cherry. Another reason for doing the trellis system here in Kona is, if you have to dig a hole in the ground, good luck. After 1 foot, 2 feet, what you're gonna find?
Lava rock.
Lava rock.
Exactly, same problem for the root system. Don't go that deep, don't get that strong. When we're in the harvest season, the top half of the tree gets very heavy, full of cherries. So after some rain and strong winds, the coffee tree can bend and broke some roots, and that becomes a big stress for the coffee tree. So the trellis system gives a good physical support, holding the coffee tree in the right position.
Okay.
Third main reason, because we're opening the tree, getting more leaves in contact with the sunlight, we're going to be increasing our production in 33 to 35% more coffee per tree, making the business more interesting for us and making that more interesting for the environment, because we produce more coffee in a smaller piece of land, saving more land for the natural environment.
Oh, that's great.
18 to 18 minutes for 130 to 435 Fahrenheit. 20 to 22 minutes for 155 and a little bit over for the espresso roast. Coffee, when you're roasting, they do cracks just like popcorns. First crack happens a little bit before the medium roast. Second crack happens exactly on the dark roast, around 430 Fahrenheit. The roasting process, in our case, on those machines, is pretty similar as 100 years ago. So, did he ask already which one has the highest amount of caffeine, medium, dark, and espresso?
Well, wouldn't that be espresso? Or no?
No. So when you go to a coffee bar and you ask for espresso shot,
Yep.
the espresso machine, yes, is one of the best ways of brewing coffee, because you grind your coffee very fine, you work with hot water and high pressure, you extract a lot of the caffeine from that particular coffee. If you're using the same coffee to do an espresso shot and to do a French press, you have a lot more caffeine in the espresso shot than you have in the French press. Now, when we're talking about roasting, as any other vegetable, as long as you cook, less properties you keep. As long as you roast the coffee, less caffeine you keep. So the medium and the lighter roast will always have the highest amount of caffeine, the dark and the espresso, always the least amount of caffeine.
Interesting, okay.
The strong and the bolder flavor that you get on the espresso roast is from all the smoke that is generated while you're roasting the coffee. Is not caffeine flavor. If caffeine has such a noticeable and strong flavor, all the sodas that we buy and drink that has caffeine added would taste is likely the same. And they don't, because caffeine doesn't have a very strong and noticeable flavor.
Wow, okay.
Cool,
It's
makes
just
sense?
the opposite of what I thought, but it
Yes.
absolutely makes sense.
Yes.
And this is where you're drying the roasted beans.
This is actually where we are cooling. So the
Cooling.
roasting happens inside. We go
Right.
up high to 400 and something Fahrenheit. If I just open the drum door and let the batch sitting over here, the middle of the batch is still roasting. And then we can get in the center of the batch espresso roast, in the middle probably a dark roast, and just the very outside beans, we would be getting a medium roast. So we need to be mixing the seeds, and we're going to be sucking cold air through to cool them down as fast as possible and stop the roasting process as fast as possible to keep a consistency in the batch. So usually take about 5 to 8 minutes to make sure the roasting process has stopped.
Okay.